each and every person, God. We thank you for your presence today, God, because we know that you're omnipresent, God. We thank you, we love you, we praise you and adore you. In the holy, mighty name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. And now we have our welcome and purpose by Veronica Clemens.
Veronica, you're muted. We still can't hear you, but you're not muted. I don't know why.
Yeah. Is your volume up? Maybe your volume's not up. It is up.
Check her connections. The microphone disconnect to the computer?
No, can't hear you. Okay, we do.
You may have to re-log in again. You're not muted in the Zoom.
Okay. We'll give her just a second to see if she get logged back on. If she still doesn't have volume, then I will do the portion that she has. Just a second here. Please bear with us. Sometimes it works and sometimes we can't get away without having those technical difficulties. They come and they go. So this is normal and I appreciate everyone's patience with us. Chester, did she get back in?
She hasn't rejoined.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start with her part. And good morning. My name is LaShonda Faye. I'm with Friendship Missionary Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry, and I would like to thank you for joining our 2022 Loving Me, Mind, Body, Soul Mental Health Symposium. The Friendship Missionary Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry is in partnership and collaboration with Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, St. Paul Baptist Church, and Temple Bethel in hosting this event today. Our prayer has been to connect mental health providers to our community to share their messages of hope. This is our second annual symposium, and we look forward to your participation as we continue to strive in our objectives each year. Our focus is to provide information and resources related to health to our audience and communities. We are building partnerships with health-related organizations to take steps to finding answers for those who are in need. As a member of the Health Committee on the Social Justice Ministry, we are passionate about our efforts to help find justice in healthcare for all. Our purpose is to convey to you that there are many organizations with passionate intentions of service. Our scripture reference for today is Psalm 42:5. Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise him, my Savior and my God. Please know that some may turn a blind eye and look away from those who are suffering, but there are also those who have compassion and empathy, and suffering is not ignored. In a few minutes, you will hear from organizations that strive to close the gap on social injustice through their service as an organization in our communities. This is the 2022 final session of Loving Me, Mind, Body, Soul Mental Health Symposium this fall. We have had overwhelming support for our program this year from volunteers within Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, our sister churches, and health-related organizations that were excited about their participation and support of our health committee objectives. We would like to say thank you for your support, your time, and your passion of service. We look forward to a continued partnership with you and exploiting your services, sharing your experiences and expertise and passion in helping others and working to get towards social justice. Now to our audience, it is our great pleasure to have you here today and sharing an exchange of information. Friendship Missionary Baptist Church and its partner churches care about people and our communities. Just a reminder, you will need a pen and paper or your cell phones ready to take a picture or write down information on the organizations later in the session. It is our prayer that you will be blessed, mind, body, soul. And now we'll turn it over to introduce our presenters. And again, my name is LaShonda Faye. I'm a member of Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, and I'm the leader of the Health Committee on the Social Justice Ministry. At this portion of our session, we will have the presentations from our speakers. As the presentation is shown, please feel free to enter questions into the chat room during the presentation. After each presentation, the audience will be able to ask questions live or to submit their questions in the chat. I will then introduce the next speaker and so on until we complete our session. We have placed everyone on mute at this time except for me, the moderator, and the speakers. Our first speaker is Salim Ukta from Uberus Mediations, and we'll watch his presentation now.
Welcome everyone to Calming Conflict to Heal Humans. My name is Celine Ukta. I am a panelist with the Miles Mediation and Arbitration, and I'm the owner of Ubros Mediations. We're going to be talking about dispute resolution methods as a preventative health measure. And I just want to give you a little bit of background about me, Celine Ukta. I opened up Ubros Mediations in 2018. I joined the Miles Mediation panel in October of this year. I'm a mediator, facilitator, arbitrator, divorce coach. All can be couched as a dispute resolution professional. My aim is to help people resolve issues, and my passion is people problems. So you might be wondering how dispute resolution can be linked to mental health, which it's actually inextricably linked. Conflict causes stress, and stress is bad for the body. It makes us feel unhealthy. It also has the ability of limiting what we can do within our body, as well as
I'm going to restart. Someone said that you weren't able to see the video. Are you able to see the video now?
No, we only see your picture.
to heal. My name is Celine.
Can you see it now?
No.
Mediation.
I can jump in and just explain my presentation if I can share my screen. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up my presentation for you guys. Okay. So everyone, my name is Salim Mukta, as the video was saying, and this is Calming Conflict to Heal Humans, Dispute Resolution Methods as a Preventative Health Measure. Does everyone see my screen? Okay, perfect. So, like I said in the video, I am Salim Mukta. I'm the owner of Ubros Mediations. I actually am a contract worker for Miles Mediation Panel that I just joined in October 22. It's very exciting. I'm a mediator. I'm a divorce coach. I am a collaboratively trained neutral for collaborative law cases. I'm an advanced practitioner in family and divorce through the Conflict Resolution Association. And I'm an e-discovery advanced specialist and a paralegal. Basically, I'm a Swiss Army knife for dispute resolution. People problems are my passion, and my goal is to basically exterminate them where I see fit. So ultimately, I just want to talk about the linkage between conflict and stress. So researchers found that repetitious or prolonged conflict can negatively impact your health, create more functional limitations. I'm talking about like brain fog. I'm talking about the possibility of having moderate to severe chronic illnesses or pain. And the possibility of having multiple things happening. We all have an aunt or uncle who has hypertension, diabetes, nosebleeds, migraines. That's what we're talking about when it comes to stress, right? And stress is caused by external, issues, right? So conflict and stress are so linked in my opinion. And when you're repeatedly exposed to stress and conflict, you might develop a heightened sensitivity to physical pain or become numb to it. I will say when it comes down to that heightened sensitivity, we all know some people that are a little bit of a recluse, right? They stay at home, they don't interact, and I think it's because of that sensitivity of pain. They're trying to keep the pain to a minimum, and I think that is so important when we're engaging with people that we feel like, oh, why are they not engaging with us? We want to be in community, but because of that stress and that conflict, they're taken out of the game, and it's sad because we want to play with each other. We want to have communion, we want to have fellowship. The other aspect to it is, that numbness can just be a lack of affect, meaning there's not a lot of joy, not a lot of emotionality within a person. And that's also sad too, because it's almost like the lights are on, but no one's home when you're dealing with a person who's going through that. Stress can affect the gut, the muscles and bones, the heart and lungs, your hormone secretion, your cardiovascular system, your nerves, and then ultimately your reproductive system. So it's a full body effect. And I think that's why the conflict that I deal with through disputes between other people is so important to kind of handle. So, I just want to talk a little bit about mediation. So, basically, what happens is people come to me and they say, "Hey, Salim, I have a problem. I need you to solve it. Let's bring everyone together." So we have the parties come to a mediated conference when they schedule with me, and they make opening remarks saying what they want to accomplish today. I separate the parties, which is called caucusing, and basically go back and forth in the rooms. I hear all the information because I'm a blind person. I don't know anything about anything. So I have to get the information from the first party or disputant and hear what they're going through and then see what they want and where their interest lies. And then I go to the other party and do the same thing. And then we do offers and counter offers until we try to reach a mutual agreed upon agreement. Then I write up a mediation summary, and that can be used by an attorney or just the honor policy not recommended, and basically squash that issue. It is quicker and less expensive than going through litigation, which is going through the court system. But it's also healing. And I think that that's what's so important. We're trying to heal and soothe with this symposium, and I'm so happy I can do that. So, as a mediator, I am compassionate, humble, and patient. I am a neutral third party, so I am not on the side of anyone. I'm on the side of compromise. I have a duty of confidentiality. I engage in unbiased, handling of the situation within the mediation, and I'm only interested in compromise. So we use something called interest-based negotiation. So we are trying to define and mine what people's interests are, create fair standards, and brainstorm what's the best option, and then we try to resolve it. So you must be wondering, like, mediation, I get it now, but what do you do? So I handle divorce and family mediations. This is pretty self-explanatory for people who know and who are married people. But I just want to talk about the divorce dispute side, which is, the things that keep people up at night, the boogeyman: custody, visitation, child support, alimony, property distribution, which is called equitable distribution, retirement splitting, pre and post nuptial agreements. So if someone's about to get married and they want to make sure that their assets are protected, or they're in a marriage and in lieu of leaving that marriage, they want to kind of make a new agreement about how things are supposed to handle going forward if they decide to exit that marriage. That's usually done if there's some significant situation that has happened, like infidelity, substance abuse, some exciting event. I also deal with LGBTQ disputes, that's surrogacy adoption, youth relocation. So if there's an LGBT child that has parents that feel like their child does not fit within their belief system, we can temporarily or permanently place that child with a guardian or relative that is affirming and loving, and up until the parents feel more comfortable with the child, or talking about setting boundaries and phases. Transition agreements, so this is when people are trans, talking about the process of transitioning from male to female, female to male, same-sex divorce, and then genetic donation. So if someone wants to have a child and you want to just iron out to make sure that someone's not eligible for child support, or the child that they're giving their genetic, material to isn't going to inherit their stuff, we handle that too. Also, estates disputes. So that's elder care, that is wills, trust, and estate issues. That is land partitions if you have a big acreage and you want to split it between a bunch of different people. That is also personal representative issues. So someone passes away and there's an executor of the estate and they're not handling correctly, we can mediate those disputes. So then I do have general mediations. That is business disputes, employment disputes, and housing disputes. Housing can be commercial or residential, HOA issues, and basically non-payment or roommate disputes. Employment disputes are discrimination, hostile workplace, sexual harassment, promotion, demotion, hiring, firing, anything that happens within, a cubicle. And then business disputes are partnership issues, the merger or acquisition of a company, business to business disputes, or business to client disputes, or consumer disputes, reorganization, the ending of a business, the starting of a business. We like business. So the other thing that I do is something called divorce coaching, which I am a thinking partner, a cheerleader, a confidant, a referral source for people who are contemplating going through the process or dealing with the aftermath of marriage. It is an international certification so I can do divorce coaching in Charlotte, in Cleveland, or in Calcutta. So it is great because we have that one-on-one relationship, and I'm kind of the Jiminy Cricket of you trying to figure out what to do with your marriage. It's quite fulfilling for me. So basically, when it comes to divorce coaching, the before aspects is making sure we can salvage the marriage if possible. I don't want to break up people because, families are important. They're the lifeblood of our society. Um, During the divorce, if the guys decide to, or if people decide to get divorced, we are going to find you a divorce team, decide what avenue you want to go through, whether it's litigation, mediation, or collaborative law, and then getting you all the people that you need, whether it's a real estate agent, a waste company to move out all the stuff that you don't need anymore. Maybe that's a financial planner, etc. But then we focus on the exciting things, which is building your new life. And that could be dating, co-parenting, trying to find work-life balance, a re-entry into the job market, just that discovery, that newness, like the phoenix, you'll rise. So basically, there's some other things that I do, which is collaborative law, neutral facilitation, and consulting and training, whether it comes to organizations, nonprofits, or corporations. But those are kind of my miscellaneous services. I'm happy to talk to someone about that later. But that's the full aspect. I know that was about 7 to 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I ran a little long, but if you need mediation or neutral services, please email me at my Miles Mediation and Arbitration email. And then if you need coaching or consulting services, divorce coaching or consulting, please email me at my Uberus Mediation email. I'm happy to help. I have a link that I will send in the chat, which is a 15-minute consultation, just to see if I can help or get you to someone that can help. And, I just want to be able to push off that stress that ails people, just like the guy on the left. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Salim. I really appreciate you kind of improvising there when the video didn't work, and that was a great presentation. At this time, we're taking any questions. Just raise your hand and please help me to see if there are questions that are coming through. I know, Salim, with your presentation, you talked about all your services, which are wonderful, and you are a Swiss knife for any kind of conflict and problems. So we love that. And I just wanted to ask you more about your fees and what other resources if people don't have limited incomes and no insurance are available for your services.
So, just to give a little bit of a background, mediation is mandatory for family law cases when it comes to custody and alimony and equitable distribution. So that's really important to know. You're going to have to go through mediation, no matter how you slice it, unless there's certain exceptions. My fees are $300 an hour, split between the two parties, so $150 an hour per party, with a $300 administrative fee, which is also split. Now, if you are in the court system, there is some options you can do. Court-appointed mediations changes things quite drastically. So it's a $150 an hour fee with a $175 administrative fee. I am a court-appointed, I'm a certified family mediator. So if anyone has a family case and they're thinking, oh, I want to use that Salim guy, then you can designate me as your mediator through a court opponent case. So that is a way that, my services can be a little bit lower than my private rate. When it comes to divorce coaching, it's a little bit different. I work with people with divorce coaching because there's like some kind of sale of the home or an asset that people are getting paid out for. And so I will try to work with people to delay payment until they have the actual money. Because, when you're going through a divorce, you're paying everyone. You're paying your attorney, you're paying sometimes your family members to take care of kids, you're paying every single person that you can think of. And it can be very stressful. But I'm here for my clients. It is for a 3-month commitment. It is around my hourly rate for mediation, which is $300. But I have it in a package of a 3-month commitment for $3,000. But you can see me every week, and I will check in with you. We have this Voxer app, so you can send voice memos, and if there's a situation, especially if there's some domestic violence issues, some substance abuse issues, we will correspond with each other via the voice apps, so it can we can keep a record of these things and make sure that we can ensure your safety.
Okay.
I think I answered.
Yeah, you answered it. And we have 2 other questions. So I don't know who started first, but we'll start with
Pam.
Pam Jones.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, Miss Pam. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very informative. I have a question around a very unique situation.
Yes, ma'am.
I live in Cornelius,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a Confederate monument that stands in our town. My organization, a small nonprofit, Unity in Community, has been kind of leading a campaign to try to get them to take the monument down. Our problem is that it's privately owned and it's on private land, which is very different from most of the monuments. And so one of our basic strategy has been public education, trying to make people aware of the monument and what it stands for and why it needs to come down. But the party that owns the monument has just kind of ignored everything and won't come to the table or anything. One of the other strategies that has been suggested is something like mediation. But are there any kind of strategies for getting someone to the table to even begin the mediations?
There are. I can't necessarily say what you can do. I mean, the reason why people go to mediation is because they're usually buttressed between a difficult situation that they want to solve and the ability of this issue never ending. I don't know, Miss Pam, if your organization is highlighting the private citizen that owns the monument, but there is a possibility that there could be a solution if the person's willing. I only can do what I can do when 2 parties come to me and say, we have a problem, let's try to solve it. So I think that so much about your work with your nonprofit is going to have to show a reasonable, I don't want to say nuisance, but I guess nuisance. And there's a certain level of public acclaim for this private citizen to change this. And that's the only way that they would get to mediation. I think that that's tough for you because based on what you're saying, this private person has just ignored you guys. but I wish I could say more. That's the rub about my services, is that like if I don't have both the parties who are saying like, yeah, let's do it, I can't do it.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, and I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Miss Constance, Miss Boswell.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. From your slide, I saw that you also deal with employment issues such as discrimination.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious to know, I'm retired, so but I won't say why I'm asking this question, but you'll gather. When, do you process the charges for the persons or take their complaint against their employer, or do you refer them to EEOC for them to get the right to sue, which they have to have in order to proceed to court? And if you do, what are your charges?
So, I do not handle any EEOC complaint filings. I have colleagues who do. So, if anyone has any issues with it, there is a wonderful attorney called Michael Littlejohn. He owns the law office of Michael Littlejohn. He can help with the filing of the case. I only step in when, obviously, if there's an EEOC claim. I'm a federal mediator as well. Like I'm approved for the federal mediation list, so I can mediate those cases, and I can come in before litigation even starts. Which let me be very clear to everyone: before mediation or before litigation starts is the best time to mediate. Why? Because it is the best for the price value. If you have an issue with the father of your child or the mother of your child or your spouse or your employer or your landlord, getting into mediation quick, fast, in a hurry is going to save money for everyone. And if we can get on the same page and nip this in the bud, before things start to escalate and people are just like, there needs to be retribution. I think it is the most important thing that you can do, because it's just going to benefit everyone and you're not going to deal with all those hard feelings. And because this symposium is about social justice, I think that navigating in a socially just way from the onset is so important for us to maintain the integrity of our society, which is obviously lacking, and there's a breakdown right now with people trying to connect with other people in a very human way. So I hope that I answered your question. If you want that contact information to that attorney I mentioned or some others who also do employment, happy to give it to anyone who needs it.
Can I follow over one other thing? Do you advise those potential clients that they can go to EEOC and file first at no charge, and EEOC will take it to court on their behalf?
That is not my lane, unfortunately, Ms. Boswell, because I'm a mediator and I'm a neutral, and I'm not an attorney and cannot give legal advice. I say that more times than I say my name. And so I cannot advise anyone of anything. That is the unauthorized practice of law. I can give them to someone, I can say hot, hot and pass the ball to someone else. But when it comes down to actually me doing anything, you won't see me. I hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. So
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Salam, and thank our audience for the questions. We really appreciate that. We're going to move on to our next presenter. At this time, we'll have April Adams with Secured for Life, and her presentation will be live.
Yes, hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so yes, my name is April Adams. The name of my business is Secured for Life. I am a licensed insurance broker. I've been doing this since about 2019. I have multiple licenses with the state of North Carolina, including health, life, Medicare, accidents, and sickness. Health insurance is important to me because a lot of time, especially in our community, we don't have the resources that we need. So we often go without going to the doctor or getting that medical procedure, or there's a medical emergency and then we're going into debt. So my way of helping the community is to reach as many people as I can to give them the resources, so that we can take care of ourselves and each other. Um, so I just want to talk a little bit about each license that I have. So with health, my main focus is marketplace insurance and Medicare. Marketplace insurance is better known as Obamacare. And that is typically for people who aren't offered health coverage through their job. So they might be working part-time, or someone who recently lost health coverage because they lost a job or they lost qualifications for Medicaid. And also people who are self-employed. Open enrollment for marketplace coverage is November 1st through December 15th. It is based on income. Every state has a minimum income requirement in order to have their monthly payments subsidized through Obamacare. And I believe that figure for North Carolina is right at 13,000, if not a little more. And it is important, what I tell people, it is very important to be accurate as possible about your income on the application, because if you make more than you report on the application, then you could owe taxes. But if you end up making less than what you put on the application, you can get credit back when you do your taxes. So that is the biggest thing with that. In regard to Medicare, that is for people who are 65 and up or who have been disabled for 2 years or more. So when it comes to turning 65, you have 3 months before you turn 65, the month that you turn 65, and 3 months after you turn 65 to enroll in a supplemental plan. Medicare Parts A and B, it's 80-20 coverage. So you're going to need some type of supplemental coverage to make up for those gaps. And you want to make sure that whatever plan you choose has prescription coverage, because there are penalties for not getting prescription coverage when you are able to. And there are also penalties for not signing up for Medicare within your allotted time frame. So just keep that in mind. In terms of life insurance, the most popular ones, I guess the ones that most people are familiar with, is term and whole life. And there's typically a 2-year contestability period for non-accidental deaths. So that means that you need to be honest on those applications, like whether you use tobacco, whether you have any medical issues. You want to be very honest on those applications, because if something happens within those 2 years, they do not have to pay out the amount of the policy. And then also here, I want to talk about accident coverage very briefly, because that's something that I feel like a lot of people aren't familiar with. So accident coverage can reimburse you for medical expenses that you obtain due to an accident. So like if you cut yourself while you're cooking, or you accidentally break a bone or anything and you have to go to the emergency room, there are policies out there that will reimburse you for that. And that money is paid directly to you so that you're not going into debt due to medical bills. There are also plans that will reimburse you if you are hospitalized. It's a lump sum payment that would help you, continue to pay your bills so that you're not going into debt because you can't work or because you're trying to heal. We also have critical illness coverage out there, and that will pay you a lump sum amount in the event of a covered critical illness, such as heart attack, stroke, or cancer. So again, I love to be a wealth of resources for the community. If anyone has any questions, my phone number is 704-315-0156. My email address is secured4life1@gmail.com. And that is pretty much all that I have, guys.
Thank you so much, April. That was a wonderful presentation and a wealth of information. I know I work at an insurance company. I still get confused with some of the products and how they work and how to utilize them. So that is very appreciative. And I know whoever comes to you will have the resource that they need. I wanted to ask you, at this time, I'll just let everyone know, if you have a question for April at this time, please raise your hand and we will call on you to answer those questions. But just to start off, I wanted to know, April, how do you get paid as far as your services?
Well, right now I do have a job. I do mostly sell Obamacare with a job. So they pay me commission on, the people that I sign up. And then if someone signs up with me to get a Medicare plan, I do make commission off of that as well. And then same thing if someone gets life insurance with me and accident policy, I basically am a commissioned broker.
And it's not the actual patient, client that has to pay that out. That is a process or, okay.
Yeah, all of that is done behind the scenes. If you want to talk to me, there is no charge.
Okay, wonderful. And I don't see any hand raised right now, but I do have another question. And I'm taking these questions from the pre-registration. There weren't a lot of questions that came in, but I just want to make sure if it's related that we ask them. One I thought was related to this. What ways are there to connect with persons that do not have internet via home internet service or cell phones at home? I know that for your process, how do you reach people outside of an event like this?
Business cards, flyers, things of that nature. I do mostly work from home, so I normally do speak to people over the phone, but I do home visits as well. Like if that's something that someone needs, I am able to come to you. So yeah.
All right. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to our next presenter. And thank you so much, April Adams, for that. Our next presentation is Leslie Deal with Carolina Care Partnership. She has a couple of videos here we're going to look at.
And I'm happy to share my screen if that's easier for the tech side of things. I'm more than happy to do that. It might be easier that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This very first, well, actually, let me start real quick first and say that my name is Leslie Dill. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the opt-out program manager for Carolina's Care Partnership. And although I'm not doing a slideshow today, on all of our slideshows, we like to start with recognizing that I am working and living on native land, and I'm coming to you live from Gastonia. And so this morning I'm working on sugary Cherokee and Catawba land historically. So we typically do those recognitions when we start. So Chester, are you not wanting me to share my screen?
You can go ahead and share it. Feel free. I'm gonna put you as a co-host.
Okay, well, it looks like you're sharing your screen right now. Okay, here we
No,
go.
I'm not.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
There we go.
During the pandemic, Carolina's Care Partnership changed our mission to seeking justice through health and housing. And every single one of those words is important. Seeking, because we don't have it yet. Justice, because without justice, none of the rest of this matters. Health, because folks, BIPOC communities, LGBTQ communities, people who live in poverty do not have access to health services and often don't have access to housing services. And both of those things are some of the greatest injustices in our society. So it's our job as an LGBTQ center who also serves folks living with HIV, folks who struggle with mental health, with substance use disorder. Our job is to provide that justice as best we can.
There are many communities and organizations out there that believe that there's a problem and they want to address it. But how many of those organizations have truly been in the community long enough to say, this is not only how we can address it, but this is how we can maintain a level of success there?
LGBTQ community are twice as high as being at risk of homelessness, because that is the population that we do see that is most discriminated against, that's most sometimes not even accepted by their families.
Communities that will always be most affected by economic crises, by housing crises, by health crises are LGBTQ communities, Black, Indigenous, people of color, people with disabilities and immunocompromised situations. And these are the very communities that Carolina's Care Partnership are seeking to serve.
I want everybody to know that's a part of any oppressed group, whether they're a person of color or LGBTQ folks. It's not your problem. It's a system problem.
it takes a little bit for people to realize the support it is that they have. Supporting in housing, you'll have supporting with your medical needs, you have supporting with peer support. Then also be able to have therapy here. And it's not just therapy for our clients, it's therapy for their families too.
Being a gay man has definitely informed my practice. And it's informed how I interact with the client, right? With the people we work with. The LGBTQIA, their experience with systems and their experience growing up, their experience existing in society tends to be much different than that of just the general population.
We have created that community here, whereas that one person isn't available, you have someone else step in. And that's one of the beautiful things about being able to have so many services under one roof.
You can meet housing needs, you can meet mental health needs, you can meet food needs, you can meet clothing needs, especially for the trans community who sometimes needs affirming clothes and can't access them in other places. There's so many things, and usually if someone has one of those needs, they probably have multiple.
The website will say that you're seeking justice through health and housing. However, I encourage you to go deeper. When you're giving to CCP, you're giving to community and consistency. Understand, we have been in the Charlotte area for years. We've shown our work. We understand the impact that we have, but not only that, we understand the community and the best inroads to give that impact and show the change.
Leslie, you're muted.
So that was video number one. I have another one that's actually shorter than that, that will show the testing process at CCP. And then once I show that, I will tell you, go into a little bit more detail and then take any questions that you might have.
Welcome to Carolina's Care Partnership. We are located at 5855 Executive Center Drive in Suite 200. When you arrive at CCP, first check in with our receptionist, who will give you a simple registration form to complete. Once you have finished your registration, your counselor will walk you to the lab where testing is conducted. Step 2. Pre-counseling. During this time, your counselor will ask you several questions to determine which test option is best for you. We will also discuss steps that can be taken to reduce your risk and offer additional screening services, such as syphilis and hepatitis C testing. We may also refer you to other services within our organization if needed. During this time, we encourage our clients to ask as many questions as they would like. Step 3. Receiving the test. There are 3 types of HIV tests offered at CCP: Alere Determine, Chembio, and Insti. Based on your pre-counseling session, your counselor will determine which test is best for you. All of our testing services are 100% free and confidential. A finger prick is required to conduct the test. Step 4. After 1 to 15 minutes, your counselor will give you your results. You will receive a preliminary results card with your results, a counselor's signature, and contact information if you would like to get tested again in the future, as well as a complimentary goodie bag. We are open and accepting walk-ins Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5. Thank you for choosing Carolina's Care Partnership for all of your testing needs. For more information, visit carolinascare.org.
Okay. My videos still like to play in the background. Technology is fun, but so like I said, my name's Leslie. Every time I see that first video that I shared, I get chills. The pride that I sincerely feel working for an organization like Carolina's Care Partnership, it fuels me every day in the work that I do and that we do as an organization. We're constantly expanding. We are not 100%, but I would say 95% funded by federal funding from various grants for various programs. The way that we're set up, so if you think of, if any of y'all have ever been in Black Lion or any of those like antique shops where you go in and there's like various booths and like it's all under this one roof, that's how Carolina's Care Partnership is. So Carolina's Care Partnership houses the Regional Housing Partnership. We have a prevention department, the project that I manage, which is called Opt Out. There's an RX ACE program. And also some of you, if you do any work with the trans community, you may have heard of Transcend Charlotte before. And for many years, Transcend was housed inside of Timeout Youth. And as of March of this year, Transcend Charlotte has now merged with Carolina's Care Partnership. And so they're located under our roof. And so you may have heard in the video talking about gender affirming clothing. And so we have our expression space, which before, when it was at Timeout Youth, the expression space was only gender affirming clothing for people who were trying to express their gender outwardly. But since Transcend Charlotte now lives within Carolina's Care Partnership, if we have housing clients, HIV clients who need clothing, we also serve them in that way now. We're working to expand our food pantry. Right now, we just have mostly dry and non-perishable goods, but we are constantly working on grant funds to get more items to donate. So it's not just non-perishable items. We also have toiletries. One of the things that I'm also very proud of is if any of you all or your clients or anybody that you serve has ever tried to access direct services in Charlotte in Spanish, it's really difficult, especially when it comes to mental health care. So we have Spanish speaking medical case manager, housing case manager, therapist. Our prevention manager is Spanish speaking, as well as our outreach person. And we walked through the testing process as if someone came into the office in the video, but we also have a beautiful mobile unit that is out in the community every single week doing free, not just HIV testing, but also syphilis and hepatitis C testing. We test more than any other organization in Charlotte, and we also have a quicker turnaround time on linkage to care. So if someone, if for instance, if someone comes into our office and their HIV test is reactive, we call it reactive for the initial test, not positive, we will immediately do a second test, and then that's confirmatory. So we'll do two different brands. You saw we have three. So if someone's first test is reactive, we do a second for confirmation, and then that's enough to confirm an HIV diagnosis. So we do that. And then if someone has a test and their test is non-reactive, we also refer for PrEP, which is pre-exposure prophylaxis, to help prevent HIV transmission. A lot of our housing that we do is funded by a grant called HOPWA, which is Housing Opportunities for People with AIDS and HIV. So the majority of the people that we house are people that are living with HIV, and say it's a family, because we also house families. One of those people would be living with HIV. We work on a voucher system. So typically the people that we serve are not only HIV positive, but also people living 80% below the median income. So the way that that works is that whatever their income is, they are required to pay 30% of that towards rent, utilities, things like that. And then our voucher comes in and covers the rest of the cost. We have lots of other services. We have a person who, her name's Nikki. She's actually brand new to the role. And if anybody has ever reached out to Carolina's Care Partnership in the past for guidance, assistance, resources, you probably talked to Patrice Brown. Patrice Brown recently moved into the position to manage our brand new RX grant. So she's left that coordinator position and Nikki is now there, but we have the capacity to help people. I mean, y'all know the housing crisis in Charlotte has reached just disastrous proportions, and so many people are being affected. And I don't think anybody knows what the answer is, because the problem should have been looked at decades ago. And now we're in this crisis and it's just going to keep getting worse. And so it's painful because we have people call us every day and it's like there's not enough, and it's heartbreaking. But a lot of times there are things that we can do, even if temporary. Sometimes we can get people access to just assistance in that moment to pay their utility bills so their utilities don't get cut off. So there are things that we can do, resources that we can share, and that's really what we're here for. We are, like we said, for a very long time, and if you guys have been familiar with Carolina's Care Partnership for any amount of time, about 10 years ago it was rebranded to Carolina's Care Partnership, but before that it was the Regional HIV/AIDS Consortium. And so the focuses have shifted based on the federal funding that we're receiving. So although we still do testing and access to care for people living with HIV, we've moved into a lot of housing. Now we're moving into LGBTQ services and also opioids. Many of you may know that opioids are a big issue, and lots of people are dying and from fentanyl and things like that you've probably heard of. And so some of our newest grants are focused on the opioid epidemic also. So we're doing a lot of things. I try to break it out. The reason why I said it's like Carolina's Care Partnership and then different programs, because it sounds very overwhelming with everything that we're doing, but each of our programs are managed by different people. But our executive director, Shannon Farah, she has a no wrong door approach. So what that means is someone could come to me. I manage one of our prescription opioid grants. And although I don't work in the housing area, I know everybody in our organization and how to get you in touch with them with a warm handoff. So it's the no wrong door approach, in that if you see me out in the community and you're like, oh, I don't need what you're doing, I need XYZ service, I'm like, I got you. I can connect you to that person. So I'll open it up to questions. I know that was a lot and I'm trying to be cognizant of the time, but thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here with y'all today on this beautiful Saturday.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And as Leslie said, if you have a question, raise your hand. I see one hand raised, so we'll go right into that. Valerie?
Yes, you mentioned there were different types of HIV tests based on the information that they give you. What's the difference between the tests? I mean,
That's a really great question. And so the simple answer is some of the tests are more sensitive than others. So when an HIV test is conducted, the test is looking for the presence of antibodies that are built by your body in response to the virus coming into your body. And so if you contracted the virus 6 months ago, then any of the tests will pick up that it would be a reactive test. But say that you feel like you were exposed in the past 30 days, a different test would be more appropriate because it's going to be more sensitive to picking up those antibodies. So that's the simplest thing. It depends on when you think you were exposed, and then based on that, we'll choose the test that would be most correct for you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
welcome.
wonderful. And I don't know if you mentioned, Leslie, is there a cost to anyone that comes to your organization, the Carolina Care Partnership?
No, Carolina's Care Partnership, we don't charge clients. Everything that we do in our office is covered by grant funds. So our salaries, our materials, everything is paid for in that way. Yeah, there's nothing in our office that people pay for. And oh, I forgot to mention also the reason why so it's Carolinas, plural, not possessive. And I point that out because our reach spans into South Carolina counties. So depending on which service it is, for instance, for our housing, we serve 7 counties in North Carolina, including Gaston, Lincoln, Mecklenburg, Iredell, Rowan, Cabarrus, Union, and I think we're expanding into Anson. And then in South Carolina, we serve Chester, York, and Lancaster. So when you think of Carolinas, it's plural, Carolina's Care Partnership. So yeah, we serve both the Carolinas with our services.
That's wonderful. And also, do you still have your mobile unit as well that goes out for testing? Can you
We
tell
do.
everyone about that?
Yeah, so our mobile unit also, it doesn't go to as many counties as, so each of our grants have certain counties that they serve. So right now for our mobile unit, we are allowed to serve Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, and Union. However, there are occasionally those occasions where we might slip into another county if somebody reaches out to us and, they're like, we have this great need. We really need y'all to come out and do testing. Sometimes we can get permission from our funders to dip into other counties as well. But we go, like, for instance, we're at Johnson and Wales every 2 weeks. A lot of the universities have us on a regular schedule. My background is actually higher education, and I taught at UNC Charlotte for 12 years before coming to nonprofit work. And when I worked at the university, we would have Carolina's Care Partnership out once a month to our health center. We could provide the testing within our student health center, but it wasn't free. And so we want to decrease access as much as possible. And so we would still host someone who could come out and do that free testing at least once a month. And then they would come out on a separate day with results. And that was back in the day before we could get the immediate results. So things have changed since then, but we do have people that are on the regular schedule, if you will. And that's something we can schedule. If there's somebody on here and you're like, I work for an organization, or we would love to have a testing event, reach out. We can definitely make it happen.
I really love that. I love the fact that y'all go to where they are. So that's a wonderful attribute to your services. Are there any more questions? If not, we will move on to our next presenter. And thank you so much.
I'm going to drop, yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going to drop my email address in the chat. So if anybody wants to reach out again for any of our services, it doesn't have to be the one that I manage. I'm happy to connect you with whomever.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again, Leslie. And we will have more information about contacts for all of our presenters later in the program. If we're ready to move on, I don't see any hands raised. We will have Al Smith with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI. And Al, I can do the video if that's okay. Okay, I will share that now. And before I push play, everyone can see my screen. Perfect.
I can't hear the voice. I can't hear them speaking.
Okay, no problem. I'll start that back over. Give me 2 seconds. I know what the problem is, and we will try again.
My loved one, unfortunately, ended up in the criminal justice system. It happened about 13 years after the first diagnosis of his illness. We had to call for help in order to get assistance, to get him some medical attention. It was clear my loved one was spiraling down. And so we actually called the mobile crisis unit. And their policy is such that they will not dispatch their team until the person is at that location, and we can guarantee. Well, the nature of the illness is that when they're in mania, you can't, they won't stay in one place very long. So at some point we were advised that if we needed assistance that we were to call 911. So when they arrived, of course my loved one was not compliant, and they treated him as if it was a domestic violence offense. And in spite of the fact that I shared with them that the background that I had called, and he just waved me off and said, we'll take care of it, we'll take care of it. He'll get assistance when he's in jail. And that was frightening, because at that point, we didn't know how to help. We didn't know if our assistance would make it worse. So we were helpless, and we watched our loved one thrown to the ground, put handcuffs. It was heart-wrenching to watch. This happened on a Good Friday, and it wasn't until a week later that my loved one received a psychological evaluation, and that was after much advocating. My loved one ended up in the jail for a month, and my loved one was given some mental health treatment for a week, and then was returned back in jail. Because it was termed as a domestic violence issue, he had a restraining order. He could not return, or couldn't return to the home. But in a way, the arrest was a godsend, because I first learned about NAMI from the prosecutor's office, and they referred me to our local affiliate, and that's when I was told about the Family to Family course. Being able to hear other people's stories and just to sit and listen is a blessing. Being a caregiver, oftentimes we feel as if we created the situation, that we did something wrong, that we're failures, and that there's no hope for improvement whatsoever. And NAMI just changed that for me. Help, not handcuffs, speaks to hope that is necessary, that we should work towards. Because if we receive the proper help at the proper time, then people who live with mental illness can avoid the unnecessary trauma of being in the criminal justice system. I wouldn't want to go through it again, and in fact, it's why I'm involved with NAMI, because I would never want any person to have to go through this hardship and suffering, because there is hope. There is hope. NAMI has helped my loved one because they've helped us. And because of that, we're able to help, and we're able to be better. And that's made all the difference in the world.
All right, so we'll turn it over to you, Al.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. And I am Al Smith from NAMI Charlotte. NAMI is acronym for National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI offers free programming. I'm going to say it again, free programming, free classes, free training to help family, friends, caregivers to assist their loved one dealing with mental illness. The video talked about an encounter with the police, which is it often happens when people are in an episode, when they are in mania, when they are super depressed. So the family calls the police. That's a normal thing. Now in Charlotte, we have a program called CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Team. And they are trained police officers who have been trained to deal with mental health crises. So when you have an emergency like that, you can, when you call the police, you can ask for a CIT officer. So if one's available, that's who they will send. So they're sending somebody who's trained to deal with mental health crisis, and not an officer who's just trained to deal with criminal behavior. Okay, so that's very important. All right. some of the classes we offer, the first one they mentioned in the video was Family to Family. That is our signature program. And it is a free 8-session education program for families, significant others, friends, and other people to assist with the mental health condition of a loved one. It is designed, it is designated as an evidence-based program, which that means it is proven through research that it helps people deal with stigma, deal with crises, just solving problems. It helps them solve problems with the mental health condition. It's proven. The course is taught by NAMI-trained family members who have been there and includes presentations, discussions, interactive exercises. What you will gain is that you will get information and strategies for taking care of the person you love, that you are not alone in your experiences. You will learn that the recovery is a journey, that there is hope. Number one, you get how to solve problems and communicate effectively, taking care of yourself and managing stress. So self-care is very, very important. You can't, the airlines is the best example. When the plane goes through a problem, the oxygen masks fall down. They always tell you, put your mask on first, and then you aid somebody else. Because if you can't breathe, you can't help anybody. So the same thing in dealing with a loved one, you have to manage self-care in order to help your loved one. You get support for your loved one with compassion. Finding and using local support services is taught. 5, up-to-date information on mental health conditions and how they affect the brain. So there's a whole portion of the class that talks about the brain and how mental health affects the brain. You get how to handle a crisis. So what do you do if your loved one tells you, I want to die, I don't want to live? You know, how do you handle that? What do you do if they going to slit their wrist? Current treatments and therapies is covered. Treatments and therapies change over time. What the treatments and therapies and the medications from 10 years ago, there's new therapies and treatments and medications today that they didn't have 10 years ago. The impact of mental health conditions on the entire family. If you have other children living in the house, they're impacted. So it covers all of that, how to help the other family members deal with that. If you grew up with a sibling with a mental health condition, your life growing up is different from your neighbors who don't have that issue. So all of that is impacted. Now that's just family to family. We also have a course called NAMI Basics. NAMI Basics is designed for young people. If your loved one is 22 or under, school age, this is a 6-session education program for parents, caregivers, and other family members who provide care for the youth. So if the grandparents are involved in the care, they can come to the class. If an older sibling is involved in the care, they can come to the class and take the class. 99% of participants that have taken this class recommend it to others. Think about that, 99% who take that class, they've gotten enough from the class that they would recommend it to others. Through NAMI Basics, this class is offered in person or it's also online on demand, which is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. So you can take it and you can go through the course at your own pace. So you watch a couple of hours, you stop, you can go back to where you started and continue the course to finish the course. It's self-paced. What you will get from this course is you will learn you will learn that you are not alone in your experiences, that other people are having this experience. You also learn that in NAMI because people in your class, you're all sharing your experiences. You're all learning from each other as you go through. What you get, number one, is the impact mental health conditions can have on the entire family. different types of mental health professionals, available treatment options and therapies, an overview of public mental health care, school and juvenile justice systems. We saw in the video, they got involved with the justice system as an adult, but even as a juvenile, that can happen. How to advocate for your child's rights at school, in the healthcare setting, how to prepare and respond to crisis situations, self-harm, suicide, all that's covered in the basics class, and the importance, again, of self-care. Also, there's a program called NAMI Homefront. NAMI Homefront specializes in dealing with veterans, okay, and active duty members in the military. So that program is specifically designed for our military veterans who come home with PTSD and all depression, anxiety, and all kinds of other traumatic brain injury, you know, all of these things. Another one is NAMI peer-to-peer. This is a course, it's 8 sessions. And again, all the courses are free. And it is somebody teaching the class who has actually experienced the mental health condition. So this is somebody who has lived experience. There's also NAMI provider. So if you're in the healthcare field and you're a provider, there's a course for you. It's 15 hours and it's free that you can take, and it goes through a lot of different experiences, details dealing with mental health community, those dealing with that and their loved ones. So you get a lot of experience, you get a lot of interaction with family members, actual people dealing with mental health conditions, to give you that empathy, that compassion, so that you can work better with them. The final one I'm going to mention is NAMI FaithNet. And NAMI FaithNet is like this community here. It is a resource of friends, clergy, congregations of all faiths and traditions who wish to encourage faith communities who are welcoming and supportive of persons and families living with mental illness. So it is just to encourage that and to broaden the horizons. And I will open it up for any questions.
Thank you so much, Al. And just a reminder, if you have any questions for Al regarding NAMI at this time, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. That was a wonderful presentation. I didn't know of all the classes and the help that NAMI have. So that, and the way they break it out, that's remarkable. And the 99% of people that take the class refer it out. That means the class is helpful. And we want to protect our family members. And I didn't know about the CIT officer, so I'm glad that you pointed that out. I know a friend of mine just recently had an incident with someone with mental health issues, and the police was called by someone, and I don't think they knew to ask for a CIT officer. I have one question about the CIT officer. You stated if one is available. If one is not available, do the regular police officers handle it any differently?
Well, what it does when you request a CIT officer, it reinforces the fact with the police, with the dispatcher, that this is a mental health emergency and not a crime in progress. That to be a little more sensitive, to take a little more time to, you know, there's so many cases, I mean, that you can go look at where it ended up being a tragedy that didn't need to be, because it was a mental health crisis and the police treated this situation as if they were dealing with a criminal.
Wonderful, wonderful. And where's the locations? I think NAMI is kind of more broader across the states than some of our programs.
NAMI is in actually all 50 states. Most cities have them. If you want to reach the NAMI affiliate in Charlotte, it is just Google NAMICharlotte.org, and the website pops up and you'll see all the classes offered, all the, you know, everything that we offer is on there. How we actually pay for things is we get grants, we get donations, we get funds. and we have membership. So if you want to become a member, there's dues, and from those dues, the memberships, that is how we're able to offer the classes free. With the materials is free. You get a lot of, you get an actual book. I'm actually a teacher of the family to family class. I'm also a teacher of the NAMI basics class. I'm also a state trainer, so I train people to teach the classes for NAMI, family to family. And I'm gonna tell you, every time I teach the class, I learn too. It blesses me. And because I'm a person who has lived experience, I have a loved one that I've been caring. That's how I became aware of NAMI. I had a loved one who was hospitalized, mental health, didn't have any, information, what to do, where to go. My wife reads everything. She read something about NAMI. This is over 10 years ago for me. And from that point, I got involved. I joined the NAMI Charlotte board. I'm not on the board now, but I have been in the past. So I've been on the board with all the planning and all the expertise that goes into it. I love it, and I can't say enough good things about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for all that wealth of information that you shared with us today. I don't see any questions, so we're going to move forward with our announcements and surveys with Valerie Singleton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like everyone to give us just a few moments. Please get pen and paper ready or your phone to write down the contact information of our speakers from the slide show. Also, the information is in the chat room as well on most of it. There is also a survey that has been entered into the chat box. Please take a couple of moments to answer 3 very important questions. We want to know what you like most about our session. Also, we want to know how we can improve for future events. Lastly, we want to know the topics you are interested in. These questions are very important in our planning for future events. So we thank you for your responses. This was our final session of the 2022 Loving Me, Mind, Body, and Soul. All of our sessions are recorded and can be located on the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church YouTube page and are searchable by name. So if you enjoyed today's session, please share our sessions with your friend and family and direct to the YouTube view all 3 events. Also, the events have been live streamed on the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church Facebook page. Again, we would like to thank all of our volunteers and the organizations who supported our 2022 symposium. Thank you to Friendship Missionary Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry and members for the support and participation. Thank you to the members and supporters of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church, and Temple Bethel for your participation and support. We also thank Carolina Care Partnership, C.W. Williams Community Health Center, Incorporated, Charlotte Archwell Health for Seniors, Atrium Department of Psychiatry, Taste of Success Coaching, Mecklenburg County Health Department, Europe Secure for Life, NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and the Mental Health America of Central Carolina. Thank you all for your support and your contribution towards the success of our 2022 program. I also want to thank our moderator, LaShondra Faye, for doing an excellent job, and for our IT person, Chester, for doing a fantastic job today and handling all the challenges that came their way today. You guys did a great job. Everyone, please have a safe, amazing holiday. Safe travel to all those that will be traveling. And now I will turn this over to Lawrence for our reflection and closing prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. And thank you, everybody who participated today. Thank you to the panelists and all program participants. And the information today was just amazing. It was very, very valuable and timely as we tried to find ways to help people identify and treat this awful illness. Thank you. This was a 3-part series. It began with us having healthcare professional offer methods for coping with and managing emotions. The focus was on handling anger and grief. And then the second one, doctors shared ways to recognize mental health behavior and get treatment for that. And then, of course, today, the final one was focusing on connecting with organizations to get the necessary resources. And this was amazing. We pray that all of the information offered was beneficial, and most of all, that God was glorified. Thank you. Now, let us pray. God, we love you, and we thank you. You are amazing. Thank you for your grace and your guidance during this entire process. We pray that all who participated were helped in some way, and we ask for your blessings upon them and for all who provided any support. Lord, we need you. We need you. It seems like every day there's an act of violence in this country, so much hate. We know that you're God. We know you're in control and that you have all power in your hands. Please touch hearts and minds and change those minds so that we might learn to live together in peace, especially for our children. As we close, we ask for you to keep us safe, traveling mercies for those who are traveling during the holidays, and to draw us closer to you and to each other so that we can be the people that you want us to be. It is in your precious name that we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day and weekend. Enjoy your holidays.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
Be safe.